today to talk about having warm hands and a warm heart. Yes, I'm talking about mittens. Mittens, knitting mittens, creating mittens, spinning for mittens, all things mittens. So I will start with showing you, if I can, some fiber. So I'm not sure, can my director see that? This is some Shetland wool that I got at a fiber festival. Isn't that lovely? And I'm spinning it up on my small spindle, like this. And what I've done so far is this lovely fingerless mitten. Now this is the Terevco pattern, and I'll put the pattern again in the link. I think I shared this one before. Very fuzzy, very warmish. It's fun to work with. So I'm working on that one. And the other one that I started this week is on this lovely pinkish purple, which is a blend of Shropshire wool. That's where the thumb is going to go. So it's Ontario Shropshire and alpaca blended together. Isn't that pretty? So let me see if I can put that one in. It's a little bit snug, and because there's no thumb hole yet, you can't really see everything. I could have used slightly larger needles. So how's this doing? Okay. It's a pretty yarn. And again, 2-ply on that little spindle. So I spin a little, I knit a little, spin a little more, knit a little bit more. So those are the two pair of mittens that I'm working on currently. But I've been knitting mittens since I was a teenager. So a long time, but plain mittens, nothing fancy. A nice long cuff, a 2x2 ribbing. No, 2x1 ribbing. I always had a cast on divisible by 3. So it was knit 2, purl 1. Up to the gusset where I put a purl on each stitch and increased, then knit the body, then did the top. Right? And then did the top. Cast off, did the thumb. The one part of the mitt I don't like to do are the thumbs, because you're knitting in these little tiny, tiny, tiny circles, right? But it's straight knitting. The only purl is in the gusset and on the cuff. Easy to do. I can do a mitten in a week if I'm not knitting on anything else. I am knitting a pair of socks right now as well. And I've put my sweater on hold while I do some mittens. And I may decide not to do that sweater. I'm looking at a vest pattern that I really like. But I'm also trying to keep this as 100-mile as I can. So the yarn and the wool that I'm working with right now is all local, or at least within an hour, maybe 2 hours at the most, away from home. So I'm really, really excited to be able to do that. I'm still working on spinning the BFL, the blue face luster, and I do have this one caked up. Can you see that? Yeah. Back here. There we go. So I have that. I was going to try to dye it for my sweater, but I may end up using it for mittens as well. And part of a fiber stash that I got from a gal in Toronto had some of this brown alpaca. So I blended a little bit of it with the BFL just to see what I could come up with. And I think that that's really pretty too. Again, this is just a 2-ply done on my spindle. No, that was done on the wheel. But my wheel spinning and my spindle spinning are almost the same width. So I've got that down pretty good. So I'm going to ask you, what have you been knitting? What have you been spinning? I'm going to just check my notes here. It's all about that slow living that I've been talking about, and coming into November and taking a step back and breathing before the season gets really, really busy, because we know it's going to get busy. Knitting becomes a time of quiet, a time of prayer. And to be honest, handmade knits, if cared for, can last for years. The oldest mittens I had, oh my goodness, they must have lasted 15, 16 years. And they didn't wear out. I lost them. I lost one or lost both of them. So my grandmother knit them for me in a dark green, and then she embroidered a daisy on the back. I really love those mittens, and I believe I lost them. I didn't wear them out. Of course, you don't wear your mittens out, because you only wear them when you're outside, first of all, and only when it's cold, right? But we need to keep our hands warm, and mittens, because your fingers are close together, right, are warmer than gloves, which separate your fingers, and then your fingers get cold. So wearing mittens can keep them all together. And why hand-spun mittens? Well, I think they make really good mittens. There's lofty air that gets trapped when we spin. There's a thick and thin texture that can happen, and that gives it a bit of charm and actually brings in some insulation. Local wool has memory hugging the hand. Isn't that a nice thought? Hand spun, or wool in general, is naturally water resistant. Now, if you're going to put your hand in a really wet snowball, chances are it's going to get wet. You can't avoid that, but it will resist water. Choosing a pattern gets a little iffy. So the pink one I showed you, I'm just going to grab my book here for you, is in Elizabeth Zimmerman's Knitter's Almanac. If you know anything about Elizabeth Zimmerman, up, down, up, down. You can get it on Amazon and other places that sell these kind of books. Every pattern that she puts in here, there's a story. There's a story for every month. The mitten pattern was in May, of all places, but you can knit mitts in May and they'll be ready for October or November. So that's where that pattern came from. And the Terevco fingerless mitt, I'll leave the link for, can be found on Ravelry. So those are the two that I'm using, besides one that's just in my head. My other favorite one, and I've seen a few different people making them, are the Newfie mitts. I don't have one on the needles right now. I don't even have one here to show you because I've given them all away as gifts. But it's the honeycomb pattern on the back, and they're just so much fun to make. I tried it with this white that I'd hand spun, but it's too thin for the size of needles I was using, so it wasn't working. But I will try again, and hopefully before the end of November, you'll see one of the Newfie mitts done, and I can add a link to one of those patterns below as well. But they're just so, they're warm, they're beautiful. It's just, yeah. And you can do, if you knit socks from the toe up, you can also knit mittens from the top down. I've not tried it, but some people can. You can adjust it on the fly. Maybe that's what I should try next to show you. This isn't a tutorial on mittens. This is just a little bit of what I'm doing, and you can do different kinds of patterns as well. You can use peat blues if you want to be about peace in your life. Lavenders and the purples here to create calm, or pink for compassion. natural browns to help ground you. There's a prayerful color work. Each row is a blessing for someone as you knit. And what's it like when you put your hand in your mitten and you go out and make that first snowball? I want you to imagine that and think about it for a few minutes. What would that be like? Or you're giving mittens to family as a holiday gift, a Christmas gift. Or you're making mitts or hats to go on the tree at the church that will be gifted to those in need. That's always a beautiful thing to see. So what are you making to stay warm this season? It's mid-November. It's time. We had thunder here not too long ago, like 15 minutes ago. I'd love to hear about your mittens story. So share in the comments below. And if you have a mittens story, have you made mitts with hand-spun yarn? That's my big question. And let's start this conversation. I'm so glad you joined me. Like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube things for me, please. And know that I'm here if you have any questions at all about doing these mittens. Do you want a step-by-step tutorial? Leave that in the comments below and maybe I can put that together as well. But in the meantime, keep your hands warm. Know that your heart is warm and you are a blessing to me and to many others. Stay true to yourself. We'll talk next time. This is Doll from Doll Can Create, living the 100-mile life. Granny Doll signing off.